moment. Am I okay?
Yep.
Cool.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to NEMA's second quarterly forum of 2025. We'll be starting shortly. We had over 170 registrations for the forum this afternoon. We'll give time for people to start up and get comfortable with the environment, and then I'll make another announcement once we're ready to go. We still have people joining. We're up to 70 so far. As I mentioned, we will start shortly once we kind of reach a leveling off in the number of people joining us this afternoon. Those just joining, we will be starting shortly. We have 80 people on the call so far, just giving time for one or two more to join before we start. We'll be starting shortly. We look to have reached a kind of leveling off point. It's 2:05, British summertime. Yes, thank you, Richard Saxon. We noticed that. Without further ado, I will hand over to my colleague and fellow NEMA Vice Chair, Fiona Moore, to start proceedings.
Thanks very much, Paul. Welcome to everybody. As Paul said, it's our second quarterly forum and the second one of 2025. Just a little bit of housekeeping. So it's a 1 hour maximum briefing with Q&A after each item. We'll stop for Q&A. The forum is being recorded, so please note that. Slides will be shared after the meeting, and please ask any questions via the Q&A button. So Paul is monitoring questions. If there's any urgent questions, he'll interrupt me. Otherwise, we'll do Q&A after each section of the meeting. Any other business, just put in the chat. We'll endeavour to answer as many questions as we can today, but given numbers, and the numbers are growing, we will pick things up and maybe circle back to people after the meeting. So in terms of the agenda, you'll notice someone's missing, but we still have a message from Anne, so that's the first thing on our agenda. Then we'll move on to nima's IM community, and we have an announcement to make. Some of you will be aware of it already if you've been watching the press, and we'll talk a little bit about nima's aspirations to indulge in campaigning. Then a lot of you want to know what's happening with the Information Management Initiative, so we'll be giving an update on that. And then I'll be talking a little bit more about the role of nima's vice chairs and the recruitment we're going through for increasing the number of vice chairs. Then I'll be handing to Paul. He'll be talking a little bit about communications and events. And then Emma Hooper is going to give an update on Building Smart UK and Ireland. And then, depending on time, we'll have a little bit of time for any other business. So, there's someone missing, is Anne. She, hopefully you can see the screen clearly enough. She has recorded a message for you all, which I'm going to play in a second. She is currently somewhere near the top arrow on the screen, walking from Land's End to John O'Groats. She recorded this a few days ago at the lower arrow. So without further ado, I am going to hand over to Anne.
Hello, I'm filming this from High Cupvic. It's one of the highlights of Pennine Way, and certainly of my challenge of walking from Land's End to John O'Groats. It looks like I'm probably around 800 miles in, so my original calculation of 1200 miles looks a little bit out. Probably going to be much closer to 1500. But I guess in walking this, a few reflections which may be relevant to the challenges we have as an industry as a whole on our digital journey. And the first one is to be clear on what the destination, what the ultimate purpose is, and not to get too distracted on what might be more glamorous. So I was thinking of doing the Cape Wrath Trail. I've now realised that that's going to be too ambitious and would put at risk the final destination, John O'Groats. The second thing I'm learning and finding quite hard to do is to be flexible. So I had a plan, I had a spreadsheet of all of the destinations for every day, just to have one rest day, 1st of June. I had to adapt, both physically and mentally. I needed to adjust. The weather, much colder, but just my own ability and my readiness to continue. So to make sure that things were achievable for me and not overwhelming. And then the third thing, act of kindness. What's kept me going is generosity, compassion, empathy, a smile, just an encouragement, go on, keep going. And I think, again, as an industry, we need to be more empathetic to each other as individuals, as groups, as teams, of companies, what we all need to be achieving within that overall destination, that overall goal. I hope that isn't too philosophical, but just some of the reflections that I've been thinking about as I walk. So all the best to you all. Again, I'm going to leave you with this fantastic landscape and hope all is well with you. Goodbye.
It's incredible seeing Anne's journey. I hope you all agree. She's got over another month to go. Please do go and look at her messages on LinkedIn. Apologies, I've got to start it down again. I'm trying to change slide. Here you go. Please do go and look at her messages on LinkedIn, her updates. Do look at her Just Giving page. She's walking the walk in the memory of her mother and raising money for the Alzheimer's Society. So you will be able to welcome her back for the next quarterly forum. In the meantime, we've been really busy. Well, she's been off 2 months now. The whole journey is 100 days. So the rest of this session, I'm going to start to give you an update on what we've been busy doing. So on to the second agenda item. nima is now a membership organisation. We announced that in the press through Digital Construction Plus yesterday, and thank you very much to the team there, especially Justin, for helping us do that. I'm going to talk a little bit about how to become a member, but why we're doing it and what it entails. So if you go onto the nima website, I'm sure many of you know it. It has had a little bit of a revamp, thanks to Paul. He's done lots of hard work on it. Same sort of messaging, but it's a little bit clearer. But in the top right-hand corner, there is a button which says Join nima. If you press that button, you start to get some information about what we're up to. It says Join nima to help us improve information management practice across the built and managed environment. Many of you will know the history of nima, the UK BIM Alliance, the incredible volunteer work that happened to just get the whole thing on the road, and the efforts there that have been paying dividends for many years. But there's no secret, it's been hard to ensure that nima was sustainable. We do a lot through voluntary effort, and we wouldn't be here talking to you today without that. We have patronage, we have all sorts of contributions, but because our aspirations are such that we would like to be on a much surer and more sustainable footing. But moreover, we had several people come to us saying, as information management professionals, or those other professionals who are particularly interested in information management, they really wanted a home. Moreover, we have people saying, well, when you look at the community of various groupings within construction, membership organisations and such, wouldn't it be good for nima to bring to the fore the information management agenda such that we can add weight to some of our arguments, reflect those arguments to, it might be government, large business, other industry organisations. And we felt really strongly that to represent the interests of information managers, we needed to bring the community with us in a more formal way. So if you sign up, and please do, to become a nima member, you are signing up to the principles that you see on the screen now. Now, these principles come from the Information Management Initiative, and more on that shortly. But in short, and you can read them all in more detail on the website, it's recognising the whole life purpose of information and data. We did get very stuck in the capital stage purpose of data at one point, and it's reminding everybody of the long-term purpose and benefits of information and data. It's all about upskilling people in information management. That is another principle that we're advocating. Another principle is the need to take a common, consistent and data-centric approach. It says what it says on the tin. We need to start to be more consistent, take this common approach and put data at the centre of everything we do. Also, we need to continue. We've got the UK BIM framework, and more on that in a minute. And all the guidance and reference to standards that contains. And we need to continue to establish that clear data and information management governance and principles. So if you become a member, those are the principles you sign up to. What we give you, a badge. So there's a virtual badge that you can use in your social media, on your email. It recognises you as a nima supporter. You get a unique identification and you are listed as such. We will be looking to poll member opinions, and more on that in a minute. We will be having exclusive events for members, and as part of that, we'd like to put together an online discussion forum. That won't start straight away, but it'll be coming later in the year. You will have opportunities to influence nima event content. So when it comes to the virtual conference, we'll be polling opinion again and talking to you as a member as to how you can contribute. And there will be a monthly newsletter. There is a monthly newsletter, but as a member, you will get access to that as standard. We aspire to do a lot more than this. This is just the starting point. So the cost is £35 a year. Over time, we are looking to potentially become a chartered membership body. It will depend on your needs how we poll you, how we evolve over time. So if you've got ideas, do get in touch with us. Anytime you want to get in touch with us, either email the vice chairs, or email info@wearenima.in. So watch this space, it's going to grow. But also just wanted to say that we are looking at a body that represents professionals in our industry. We are looking to start to campaign more. The word lobbying comes up. Not everybody likes the word lobbying, but lobbying isn't just a political thing. And the reason it got a bad name is people got paid for lobbying on certain subjects. We're not talking about that sort of thing. We're talking about approaching many who need input in industry to form opinion, help contribute to discussion. So we want to talk to you as a member. Where should our campaigns lay? Who should we be talking to? What should we be responding to? And how do we bring the voice of our members to bear when we're doing activities like that? So become a member, join the discussion, be able to be polled in terms of your opinion, and then watch out for further updates. Over this year, we'll be gathering pace, and this time next year, no doubt we'll be talking about next steps. But if you join as a member, then you'll be able to be part of that discussion. So go on, it's very, very easy because we need your help. Let's work together to get a better outcome. Don't forget, you'll get these slides. If I move this on, that QR code will be available on the slides we send out. Any questions, Paul?
So, there is a question just come in. In fact, there's a couple of questions coming through now. I'll take the first one from Gordon McIntyre. Is the membership for a company or a person?
Person at the moment. So it's individual membership at £35. Whether or not you claim that through your business, you pay that yourself. Obviously, it's an individual decision or decision for your business. We are now, and I should have said this, so thanks for prompting me, Gordon, looking at corporate membership as well. So another thing to explore, we have spoken to a couple of very large organisations who are very keen to explore corporate membership with us, but at the moment it's just for individuals.
Okay. Sue Butcher has asked a series of questions. What is the business argument for an individual membership for volunteers? How will this widen the exposure of nima to industry as a whole? And then a longer one about a micro SME paying to participate if they're sceptical about information management.
Whoa.
Do you want to start with the first one?
I think I need a whole other meeting. Thanks, Sue. All brilliant questions. What was the first one again?
What is the business argument for an individual membership for volunteers?
I think let's not confuse this with volunteers. So I think if you're a volunteer and you're contributing to nima in that way, then that is one thing. Becoming a member is something quite separate. Happily discuss that separately with you, so and message back to the wider community. But I wouldn't want to conflate. You can be a member and not roll your sleeve up and do anything. You've just said you've signed up to the principles. Volunteers are quite different animals. Yes, there's a cost to volunteers, I'm afraid. It's just the way it works economically. But watch this space. We are looking at certain concessions for certain volunteers. That's all I can say at the moment. We will be sharing a lot more on this at DCW and making that clearer at DCW. Could I part the other two from Sue and Paul? Could we pick those up separately, maybe with Sue, and then share our answers with the wider group?
Absolutely, yeah. There was a question about his membership for international members also. Yes,
we're not barring. It's not just you. nima increasingly, as illustrated by our virtual conferences, is attended by people globally. The only limit at the virtual conference is our daytime is other people's nighttime. So yes, all welcome, all contributions welcome.
Johnny Furlong asks, how long do you think it might take to be a chartered organisation?
Let's discuss that, Johnny. It depends on groundswell, doesn't it? I mean, basically, if the aspiration is chartership, the more of a groundswell we have, the more members we have contributing to the forum discussion, the quicker it'll happen. So I can't say strongly enough how even at £35 a pop, an individual membership seems insignificant. It all mounts up to us being able, currently we do what we can do with very little. By contributing, we'll do a lot more faster, is the hope.
And that kind of leads on to the next question. What does the £35 go towards at NEMA? Future events, question mark?
All of the above. So it's a really good question. And what we intend to do is do an annual report. We're writing one for the past financial year. Our financial years run April to March. And at the end of next year, we'll be writing a report. Everything's fully accounted for. It keeps the show on the road. Just turning up at DCW, having a voice, lobbying, all the comms that you do, Paul. Running an organisation comes at a cost. So all of the above. What I would say is the IMI, which I'm going to move on to in a minute, is ring-fenced and funded separately. So it doesn't fund the IMI, the Information Management Initiative.
Probably the final question, just for now, is if you are a NEMA patron, does this include membership?
No, because you get a separate badge which says NEMA patron. More on that at DCW if you attend the patron event that we're holding then. So you can actually have two badges. You can be a NEMA member and a NEMA patron, but we are specifically recognising patrons as patrons and members as members.
We can move on now, Fiona.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Paul, and thank you for all those questions. And do keep your questions coming. We're exploring this. We've put a lot of thought into it, and tons of credit to Sam Hardy, who I know is on the call. He's the vice chair responsible for ops, and to Paul, who was extremely busy snagging things on the site and has been extremely busy updating everything. Any feedback, more than welcome. So moving on. The Information Management Initiative. I know Anne gave you a very comprehensive update this last quarterly forum. She's been off. Myself, two people from Atkins, JP and Joanna, have been extremely busy looking after Anne's baby in her absence, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. So for those of you who aren't aware of the Information Management Initiative, it's an industry-led, government-supported programme to progressively transform IM practices across the built and management environment. It's handing the baton on between what was the information management mandate contained in the Transforming Infrastructure Performance government document to something that's more industry-led, and it's owned and managed in effect by the Construction Leadership Council and NEMA. It was launched at the virtual conference on the 7th of November. We've been very busy promoting it, doing public relations and events, and we've been busy, you'll see in a minute, processing sponsors and signatories, and we have a big push on it at DCW. We keep getting asked though, okay, we sign up and so what? We have these people here, and the so up from our point of view is we need that sponsorship because we're doing what we can with nothing at the moment. So sponsors are those organisations above the line, and supporters are equivalent to sponsors, but they provide human resource rather than financial resource. And then also we've got signatories, and those are growing. Let's be honest, I'd like the list to be longer by now, but we have loads waiting in the wings and lots to convert over the next couple of weeks. It's a long-term programme. So if we're looking towards 2030, I've moved the timeline on slightly from when Anne last spoke, but there's still lots to do. But we can't do a lot with nothing. So at the moment, we're looking for more engagement, more sponsorship, support, and signatories. And any one of those three would be welcome. Our current work, we have a task group that have been looking at various aspects of the IMI. We're refreshing that task group. The task group is in abeyance at the moment, and we're now looking at a chance for signatories to become part of the task group. So please sign up now if you're interested in being part of the Information Management Initiative task group. Sign up now, and we're planning to have a meeting later, no, not later this month, it'll be middle of next month with the signatories to poll signatories on what that task group will look like going forward and how signatories can play their part. We continue that engagement, as I say. We continue the push on PR. We've also been busy transitioning from the UK BIM framework into the Information Management Initiative framework. And on the 30th of this month, we're going to change the identity. And it is just a change of identity, but it aligns to government's current push on this, and the language is subtly changing. So the UK BIM framework is changing to the Information Management Initiative framework. So the final thing I'll talk more about on the next slide, but if you can't, if you pose us a question this afternoon and we don't get round to answering it, or if we're not quick off the mark in answering anything post this event, the most efficient way of talking to us about the Information Management Initiative is to come to Digital Construction Week. There'll be a whole team of us busy there, able to answer questions and take poll your opinion. But one of the big things that our little team have been doing recently is scoping Information Management Initiative projects. If you remember when Anne first introduced this, it's moving away from just setting the scene through standards and guidance, and it's moving on to a pragmatic approach for how we do things in practice. So here are 10 key projects. I haven't got time this afternoon to go through all of them. Again, I'm thinking, Paul, next quarterly forum will be busy promoting each of these. What we're doing at the moment is we're scoping these projects, and we're going out to industry with that scope, looking for investment. So again, if organisations out there, and we are speaking to a number, and if you're on the call, I haven't forgotten you, who are saying it's one thing to sign up to the IMI, but we're more interested in this piece, how we move the dial on practical implementation. So again, sign up, become a signatory, show your intent, and get in on some of these conversations and some of these projects. So I'm going to go from the more straightforward ones in the bottom line. So I'm going to go totally opposite to what you'd expect. We'll start with case studies. They're self-explanatory. So we'll be looking to expose through not the IMI framework, but the IMI pages on the nima website, really exemplary case studies. We're also examining that old chestnut of maturity and benefits. So how do you measure maturity? What does that have to do with pre-qualification on projects, for example? And what is the benefits argument when it comes to selling this within an organisation, especially at the C-suite? We're working on a roadmap, so we know nothing happens overnight. What needs to happen in what order, how we prioritise things. Upskilling and education is a key part of everything we all do. How do we take the knowledge in this virtual room at the moment and propagate that? Why sign up to the IMI is another project that we're putting more detail on as things grow and mature. Then top row, we're thinking about the insurance sector and how better information, more assured information, standardized information will be a really big benefit to insurance and improvement. So that's a project that we're examining. Standard information approach, so how you standardize information requirements. We're looking at a national national reference data library. So if we can standardize information requirements and put them in a library, if two organisations have similar use cases, they could take that set of data requirements off the shelf and reuse them. Those of you familiar with the gig will be familiar with the work predominantly of Graham Tapperton and John Hall on the information management platform. Too little time to go into that now, but really how we then handle, assure and store information and then reuse it. Do look on the gig website, which is nested in the nima website. And then we've also got another exciting project around the information ecosystem. Emma Hooper's leading that, and I'd really like to invite Emma to talk more about that at the next forum. And others responsible for these projects will look to talk about them at the next forum as well. So sorry, given time, that was such a very quick romp through the IMI. But any questions at the moment?
Yeah. Q&A is working for some people, other people are posting in chat. I'll take one of the questions from Q&A and I'll then quickly jump over to the chat. Neil Tupman asks, will the IMI framework still provide guidance to the ISO 19650 suite like the UK BIM framework currently does? And goes on also to ask about the BSI body of knowledge still making reference to the UK BIM framework.
So the UK BIM framework is a joint endeavour between BSI and nima, and BSI will be changing all their references accordingly. I know Dan Rossiter will be busy thinking about that. In terms of its content, no change. It literally is just a change of name to align it. Otherwise, it doesn't fit in the suite and the approach that we've currently got. So hopefully that makes sense.
There was a question from, pardon me if I get this wrong, Matthew Lisi. I'm looking to have discussions with my executive team regarding IMI financial sponsorship. Please give an idea of the sponsorship packages available or a minimum sponsorship amount, as this is something I'm likely to be asked.
All for discussion. And if you want help with that, we can come along and help you have that discussion. So we haven't set a minimum, but it's all about how you get involved, the extent to which you get involved. So all for discussion, and we've got a team of people that can help you with that. It's all individually tailored to the organisation. We've got some notable SMEs that have given us sponsorship, which is really, really welcome. So we'll take all comers.
There's a question from Martin Gooch about the utility sector. How do they compare in terms of signing up and progressing the IMI? I know that BIM...
Do you want to take that, Paul?
I was going to say, I know that BIM for Water were an early signatory in the process, and I can say with confidence that this week, as of Tuesday, I attended a Utility Week event in Birmingham, and a new group called IM for Power from the electrical sector, electricity transmission and generation sector. They're looking to follow in BIM for Water's trail and push forward in their sector as well. And they were certainly looking at the participants from across their sector signing up to the IMI.
What we're finding is there's a tipping point, isn't there? Somebody signs up from a sector and suddenly other people go, oh, if they've signed up, we ought to. What is this thing? I can't say strongly enough, if you want to steer what happens next through the task group, sign up. If you want to steer what happens next through the project, sign up and then explore how you can invest in those projects. If you want to make this thing live, then sponsor it. That's the end of the sales pitch.
Okay. Di Evans has volunteered or be keen to join the education project, so thank you for that, Di. We'll follow up with you separately. Marcus Chambers asks, any current or planned collaboration with ICMS? Maybe you'll have to elaborate what ICMS is, just so that we can answer that properly.
But I would say, because we don't know Paul, then no. But if anybody wants to know if you didn't see an organisation on the list I flashed up on the screen, approach us through info@wearenima.im and we'll pick it up with you straight away. One of the team will reach out to you and we can discuss it with you or the organisation or the organisation concerned.
Right. There's a question about the prominence of the CLC in the initiative. There's nothing to see on the CLC website yet. CLC are meant to be leading it. How come so little from CLC?
Oh, who asked that?
Johnny Furlong.
Oh, hi, Johnny again. They set our homework, and they are leading it very much. Richard Robinson, who's key within CLC, we have a meeting with him next week. He endorses what we do, but it's fair comment, and we're working with them. And I know the Atkins team are increasing that visibility through CLC. But it's predominantly Atkins as a supporter who provide resource and nima that are driving the IMI at the moment, with oversight and insight from CLC. Any more, Paul, or shall I move on?
I think we move on. I'm just conscious of time. Yes.
Yeah. So I'll move on, and I'm only briefly going to talk about vice chairs. So I've put these in order of when we joined, so there's no particular order. I'm responsible for program finance management. I've put plus at the end because many jobs, just like Paul, who's responsible for comms, events, and many other things. Simon Lewis, he oversees governance for us. Emma oversees projects, and she feeds back on Building Smart UK and Ireland, who sit nested under nima. Sam Hardy heads up operations, and Rachel Heaton helps us with our patrons, looking after our patrons. The eagle-eyed of you, and some of you might have applied, will have seen recent vacancies for education upskilling. Again, it's that thing. Volunteers, and we've added another one which we didn't advertise, which is a vice chair. We can't think of a better name than without portfolio. Now, we've had lots of applications for education, upskilling, and volunteers. So we're interviewing those of you who are waiting in the next few weeks, and we're looking to fill those posts. But we have struggled to find sufficient applications for the vacancy regarding stakeholders, communities, and change management. That old bug there. So that vice chair without portfolio will probably double up with that unfilled role and jump in behind any number of the other vice chairs when they're busy. But I just wanted to mention it in this forum. If any of you, or if anyone you know, could fulfill that stakeholder engagement, communities and change management piece, it's a massive job. And at the moment, there's nobody there. And at the moment, we could just do with someone to look at it very strategically and help us with our thinking. So again, info@wearenima.im if you've got any thoughts. So I was going to do Q&A on vice chairs, but I'm going to skip that. I'll allow people to we'll pick it up at the end, Paul, or people can email us on that one. I'm going to hand over to you, Paul, for you to go through comms.
Thanks, Fiona. I've got essentially 4 areas to cover: websites, newsletter, social media, and events over the next few minutes. So if we just move on to websites, as Fiona mentioned, and as she flashed up a slide earlier and showed extracts from the site on the membership side of things, we do have a new look website as of yesterday. There is still some work in progress, but preceding all of this and also running in parallel with the introduction of the membership offer, we had an external marketing expert do a critical review of the website, and he came back with various recommendations about improving the look and feel, highlighting calls to action, improving how pages load, and improving the visibility to search engines and so forth. So these actions and also creating a more responsive mobile site for the new look site. These are all work that this is all work that's currently in progress. And please explore the site. Bear in mind that there is still a little bit of work to do on it. But if you do have any observations or comments, please please direct them back to me, and I'll do my best to respond to them. I think the other thing to mention on the website side of things is, as Fiona mentioned earlier, the UK BIM framework website will become the imiframework.org from the 30th of May. That will also include a little bit of rebranding to reflect the IMI branding as well. And so keep an eye out for that in just over a week's time. Next slide. We know that the nima newsletter is read. We can monitor who can monitor the people who've clicked through, see the number of people clicking through, opening links and so forth. And that's been very successful in driving traffic to our website and to our events. We're getting above average open rates and click-through rates from the newsletters. And really one of the opportunities that arise from the newsletter is that it shouldn't just be about nima telling you what we are seeing happening. It's an opportunity for you as volunteers, members, patrons, members of networks to share news, to share case studies and so forth. And I put IM for Power there as a reminder of one of the subjects that we spoke about in the newsletter in April. That's a group that's newly formed, and I was keen to make sure that members who received the newsletter had chance to see news about that. So good example of what we can potentially share. And if people are interested in IM for Power, I'd encourage you to go and have a look at their LinkedIn page. It's relatively recently formed, but they're looking to grow work streams across their work, and we'll be sharing more news about IM for Power over the next 3 to 4 weeks. So next slide. Social media. Our main current focus is through LinkedIn, and we've become much more frequent and sustained in our posting of content there. If I look back at last year, for example, we had peaks and troughs. We had some strong peaks when we were in the build up to the virtual conferences, and then things went quiet for a while. But we are now being a lot more sustained between those, and we'll obviously be building up towards the next virtual conference. In terms of total numbers, we have over 10,000 followers of wearenima.im and nearly 6,000 followers of the UK BIM framework. And that's grown substantially in the last 5 months, largely driven by a campaign that you may have seen where they've been sharing some of the videos that people have posted, showing them using the AI function in the Mortar platform that's used to support the guidance element of the UK BIM framework. For the second quarter of this year, I'm hoping to revamp our YouTube presence, and later in the year we may resurrect the podcasts. And for those things to happen, I'd really welcome some support from any volunteers. So if people have interest in putting themselves forward to help with video content, whether that's filming it, editing it, or posting it to our channels, and the same with podcasts, please let me know, and we can form some little groups to take that activity forward. Next slide, final one, I think. Yes, events. This is the second of our quarterly forums, and we are starting the first of our webinars next week, which will be on the digital product passports. subject matter, and also talking about the circular economy thinking in the context of digital product passports. We are also planning member forums where we can poll people's interest on certain areas of our work, as Fiona mentioned earlier, and particularly also engaging members in planning contribution potentially to the next virtual conference, which will be on the 6th of November of this year. In the immediate term, short term, though, our main focus is on Digital Construction Week, 4th to the 5th of June in London. But we're also programming in speaking opportunities at other events throughout the year, not just in London, but across the country and in some cases internationally. And again, support from volunteers, wherever you happen to be. If there are events where you feel there might be a nima opportunity, that's something we'd be keen to talk about, so that it isn't just the hardcore of people that we've currently got, broaden out the range of people speaking on nima's behalf. I think that's it from me, Fiona.
Unless there's any questions for you, Paul.
There are some observations. So yeah, I think we will follow up on some of those. Thanks, Sue, for your comments. We'll pick up on some of that. But I think it's now Emma's turn.
Brilliant. So over to you, Emma.
Thanks both. So just a quick update of what's been happening in terms of Building Smart UK and Ireland, and for those new to nima, just to explain. So Building Smart UK and Ireland are the UK and Irish chapter of Building Smart, and like Fiona said, we're nestled into nima. So Building Smart are looking at producing standards, tools and resources to enable consistent structuring of data so it can be shared and used throughout the life of an asset. So in terms of the first update, so we're in the process of getting each of the domains within UK to hold a monthly community call, which is meant to be an informal sort of get together to showcase workflows, technology, and share ideas. But more importantly, to have a discussion about things that are working, things that aren't working, and also to raise any questions that people have. So these aren't webinars; they're a really good chance to just have that discussion. And currently we have regular technical and regulatory domain community calls, but also hoping that the other domains will follow suit. So in terms of what you can do to sign up to these community calls, if you go to this link and tick the boxes of the domains that you're interested in, what will happen is that when that domain holds a community call, then you will get an email and a Teams invite a week or so before the event. And in terms of the technical domain, so we've got the next community call next Tuesday, and Andy Ward, who's on the call, is going to be showing off XBIM, and then next month we're going to have Bruno Postel, who is also on the call, showing off Bonsai, and these are really, really good sessions to be part of. Next slide, please, Fiona. And then it's that time of year again, so it's the awards. So Building Smart hold the Building Smart Awards every single year. And so if you've got a project or a piece of research which is centered around the use of open BIM or open standards, please submit it. The deadline is next week, but I'm sure it's going to be extended. But yeah, please submit those. It doesn't matter about the size of the project. What really matters is how those open standards are being used, and the workflows and everything, because as judges, what we look for are really looking at the technical aspects. So please submit on that front. And in terms of the UK and Ireland, we've had a great track record over the years, and we want to continue that. And so if you want to submit, if you go to Building Smart International, there'll be a link there and a lot of information about it. There's also the past winners as well, so all of those submissions, so you can actually look through them and see how people submitted to get ideas as well. Next slide, please, Fiona. Right, so this leads me on to the committee. So we have some openings at the moment. So we're looking for people to join us. In terms of the domains, we would really love some support with the building, railway, product and electrical domains. We've got some really exciting projects underway. So in terms of building, we're looking at things like cost, fire, structure, and also smart buildings, and lots of other ideas, and just too little people to do them. So yeah, if you're really interested in any of them, please get in contact with us. In terms of electrical, it's more focused on sort of electrical energy within buildings, and looking at optimizing it and looking at creating an electrical data model. But I'm sure we can widen the scope if anybody else from the electricity sort of sector wants to get involved. And also we have some opportunities as well to help us in terms of the PCERT scheme. So Richard White from Man and Machine leads that for us, but he could really do some support on that front, and also on the comm side as well. So if you want to get involved, again, just let us know. And then final slide, please, Fiona. And then this just leads me on to the PCERT. So just to remind you that Building Smart does offer individual certification. In terms of the UK, we have focused more on the foundation certification, and we've got a whole book of knowledge which is based around ISO 19650. So if you are interested in taking that exam, then if you go to these pages, and there's also a link that links you back to the Building Smart International website, where you can actually find UK training providers, and that will set you on that journey. And also, if you do training yourself and you're a training provider and you're interested in this, again, please contact us, and we would be happy to talk to you. So yeah, that's the updates from Building Smart Economic Ireland.
Any questions? Yeah, any questions, Paul?
There was a question initially, but I think it was withdrawn, and it was asking, did Bazooki cover infrastructure? But I think your subsequent slide kind of clarified that it did by including mention of railways, and I think you mentioned airports earlier as well.
Yeah, so we've got 10 domains. There's infrastructure and airports as well. It's just that we already have people in terms of those groups at the moment. So the ones that I've highlighted are the ones where we really need the most sort of support at the moment. But if people are interested in the other ones, then also, yeah, please get in touch. We're very open, always looking for people who are motivated and eager and who have ideas. So
Neil Tutland took the opportunity to broadcast that Royal Haskening are a Bazooki training provider as well.
Brilliant. So I think in the final few minutes, we're on to any other business, Paul. So is there anything in the chat that would form any other business?
I know there's some observations, as I mentioned earlier, around the website and so forth, but I think there's one that we didn't cover earlier because we were taking questions from two different places, the Q&A and the chat function. There was a question from Sean Foster. Is it a framework? I think this goes back to the IMI framework. Is it a framework? Are you building solutions with a mention of reference services and platforms? If we're building new solutions, will these be charged or be accessible with membership?
I think he's referring to the projects under the IMI.
Yes. Yeah.
All to be explored. So at the moment, we know of projects that need to be delivered. And frankly, if we've missed projects or misnamed, or if you've got any opinion around that practical delivery of IM, then come back to us. In terms of then how it gets out to industry, well, we're about making things democratic. So there wouldn't be a barrier to accessing those pragmatic solutions. That is absolute. We're here to not protect any IP, but to give it away, and that needs to be made clear to any investor as well that invests in those projects. But other than saying that much, it's all to be explored. And if anybody out there has any ideas about the best approach, in short, we know that industry needs to fill some gaps. wouldn't it be great if we could get collaboration across industry to develop those solutions and then share them more widely? Some of the potential investors I've spoken to have just said just that they are so passionate about this subject. They want to see improvement across the board, so that we can start to solve the big issues collectively rather than in silos. I hope that answers the question.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I certainly was going to say it is about developing practical solutions and democratizing them so that the whole of industry improves. If we ring fence or paywall certain deliverables, we run the risk that the changes happen only in small silos. They don't happen across the whole of the sector.
Indeed. But any thoughts are welcome on that. Go on, Paul. Sorry.
I was going to say, I'm not seeing any more questions. We've only got 3 minutes left. Oh, there is one from Sam Hardy. Emma, who should we contact if we have interesting Bazooki workflows or demos for various domains to share with the wider community?
Just contact me in the first instance. It'd be easier.
But also, if you had something of that ilk, wouldn't you enter the competition potentially?
Oh yeah, do that as well.
So there's an opportunity. Yeah, it does. But if you've got something you think would be of interest, then the competition is a good way of getting it out there, I think.
Yeah, either submit for the awards or if we can have a conversation, and we can. I'm always looking for things for the technical domain anyway to show off. So yeah, it's fine.
I've stopped sharing now, so I can be in the room and see people's faces.
And there was a question also about the code for construction product information, CCPI. I'm assuming that's what you meant. What's the questioner meant? Any thought on IMI certification being part of CCPI verification?
Watch this space, all to be discussed. I mean, we're having conversations with other organisations, but not all of them yet. We don't need to make a secret of the fact that we've spoken to Build UK about the Common Assessment Standard. So that's pre-qualification. And CLC are very keen on that aspect of what we're trying to do with the IMI. So again, if we need to understand the whole landscape and who we should be bringing along, or more to the point, following the lead of when it comes to the IMI's approach and certification.
I think the final question is probably one for Emma. Is there any news on what's currently going on in the rail and product domains?
So in terms of international work, you can go onto this international website, and there's a website for each of the domains, which gives sometimes updates. In terms of Bazooki, in terms of those domains, it's quite limited at the moment, which is why we need resource. So yeah, I mean, depends if you're thinking about getting involved, just drop me a note. Then yeah.
Thanks. I'm getting a number of notes, people having to drop off and having to go. Presumably they have another meeting starting at 3. And so I think we'll draw a line under today's event. We will be sharing the recording. We will also share the PowerPoint slides after the event to all those that attended. And we look forward to meeting you again, or at least speaking to you at the next quarterly forum, which will be on the 4th of September. So we're looking to do 2 further ones this year, 4th of September and 4th of December 2025. But in the meantime, it's goodbye from me.
Oh dear, it's 2 Ronnies. You meant to say him. Thank you, everybody. See you at DCW. Bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Do we end the event?
I will in a minute. I'll just let people leave and make sure there's no last minute questions or anything.
Okie doke. We're straight into our meeting with Marie. Sorry, I should have gone to the last slide. I forgot about the last slide of the next event.
That's all right. Okay, I will end the event now, and then we can. I'll edit the last bit for the recording just to take out any of this extraneous stuff.
Well, I thought you could, so otherwise I wouldn't have said anything.
No. All right.
Can you add that slide in as well, potentially?
Can always put something, a note on the screen. Yeah.
Okay, right. See you in a second. Thank you.
All right. Cheers. All right. Bye.